Welcome to the Rustic Garden. Today I want to talk about fertilizers, and I want it to be somewhat of a candid discussion. The theme is don't stress about fertilizers, and I'm going to talk to you about principles. What I have here are all organic fertilizers. These aren't, but I'm not going to be using them. All organic fertilizers, and I'm going to show you one way that you can mix them together to make a sort of comprehensive organic fertilizer for your garden. These are all slow release products, which means this fertilizer that I'm making, once you mix it into the garden, it's not going to be available really that week for your plants. It's going to release over a several month period. So this is a slow acting fertilizer formula that I'm making. But at the same time, I want to tell you there's no science to what I'm doing. I like to experiment. I'm just making a mix of organic fertilizers for one plain and simple reason, is that when I plant a plant, I want to be able to just take a tablespoon of something, put it in a hole, and be done. I don't want to open this product, this product, this product, this product, this product, maybe some banana peels and calcium. So I tend to mix it all together. Every year it's a different mix. So I absolutely don't want you to follow to the T what I'm doing. I just want you to understand this as a principle. And again, don't stress about fertilizers. If you have a garden and you really are composting and adding compost every year, your soil is going to build up the nutrients that it needs. Now, that being said, there are some plants that need less nutrients, like lettuces and greens grow pretty well without the need for heavy fertilizing. Cucumbers, squashes, pumpkins, they tend, at least in my area, need a lot more of the major macronutrients, micronutrients, and general they need more fertilizer. They just don't make it off the compost that I have, so I add more to it. But again, don't stress. So I'm going to show you real quickly how I make a mixed sort of bag of fertilizers and explain to you, what I'm doing, because I think it's important to understand the principle. A couple of things to start with, and I'm going to start with green sand. Green sand is a form of organic potassium or soluble potash, but it only has 0.1% by weight of potassium that's going to be available. Also, the instructions for this product is 5 tablespoons per plant or per planting hole, and that's what I've based all these on. So I've already put in, one container's worth of green sand, so that's my second one. And basically the reason I'm doing that is because most of these are 1 to 2 tablespoons, so I've just doubled this. And I generally use the same size container, so the ratios are about the same, but you don't need to worry about that. So now I've just added in green sand. Some important things about this is it adds very little potassium, but it adds in calcium, other trace elements, and a lot of the literature and studies say that this really helps your soil become a better soil, and that this helps your plants actually take up all the nutrients that are in the soil. I don't have any scientific backing to say this is true or not, just from what I read, but I like to use green sand really as of last year. Now we go over to bone meal. Bone meal is going to add phosphorus. The NPK ratios to this is 6, 9, and 7. So 9% by weight of this product is phosphorus. That's one of the major macronutrients. It also has 6% of nitrogen, and it says here when you read the package, 6% slowly available nitrogen. The phosphorus is also slowly available. It's hard to find that on the package, but I know from reading that bone meal has to sit in your soil and be broken down by bacteria. So again, these are all slow release fertilizers. Well, all of them except for this one. We'll get to that. So I put in my bone meal. That's going to add the phosphorus. Organic nitrogen, we're going to go with blood meal. It's 12% by weight nitrogen, nothing else in there, 1200. So this is all nitrogen. Again, this is about 1 tablespoon per planting hole. This was 1 tablespoon per planting hole. This was 5 tablespoons. That's why I added in twice as much. So I add in the blood meal. So we have nitrogen, we have a little bit of potassium, we have phosphorus. I also like to add in something that's more fast acting. And this is an organic product. It has fast results, which means the products that are in here are ready to be available to your plant much more quickly than the ones I'm working with over here. NPK ratio of 2, 5, and 3. So it's got some nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium in there. Also has the second level of macronutrients, calcium, magnesium, and sulfur, 7.5, 1.4. And I'm just putting in, one measure of that. It also has non-plant food additives to it. And let me just peel that off so you can see it. But it has 9 kinds of bacteria, 10 kinds of fungi. And what this product sort of boasts is that the bacteria and the fungi help develop the life of your soil. By developing better life in your soil, your plants can better absorb the nutrients. And I do actually agree with that. I don't have, 100% proof that that is true, nor can I say that what they're adding isn't already in your soil. So don't be fooled into thinking you must get this because it has 9 kinds of bacteria. It already might be in your soil. And if you're putting, again, compost into your soil, you're feeding your soil life, so things are going to be okay with your soil. So we've put in the phosphorus, the bone meal, green sand, blood meal, a 253 fertilizer that also has calcium, magnesium, and sulfur in it. Also has some products to help your soil life. So we're getting there. Now, I also like to add in organic calcium. These are eggshells. So eggshells are mostly calcium carbonate, but they also contain 27 microelements. So they have other things in there that plants need. With 27 microelements, you're going to be hitting key things that your plants need to grow, but they only need very little of it. So in other videos, these are my eggshells, and I save them. I use these to deter slugs and snails. And when I use them in the garden, I usually pulverize them down. So that's just a measure of eggshell. I don't even know, how much to say. I didn't want to really use this much, but you go with what you got available. Let me mix that up a little bit. Now, this is banana, or actually dried banana peel. Dried banana peels have 422 milligrams of potassium per banana peel, where banana peel itself is 42% potassium. It also contains 3 to 25% phosphorus. There's no nitrogen in it. It has magnesium, sulfur, calcium, manganese, and sodium. So it also has other micronutrients that your plant need. This is actually about 5 banana peels. But again, this is what I have available. Finally, we have Epsom salt. And I usually use 1 to 2 tablespoons, and on my other videos I always talk about putting 1 to 2 tablespoons in a gallon of water. You can actually foliar feed your plants, or you can just pour it into the soil. But it's 1 to 2 tablespoons. So I'm actually going to use an equal measure, so about that much in there. So it's only the eggshells and the banana peels that I put less in. And that's all the banana peel I had left. And I don't really want to put in more eggshells because the bone meal has calcium. The other fast-acting 253 fertilizer also has calcium. So I didn't really feel like I needed that much. So once this is all together, I'm going to mix it up. And one of the principles I want you to think about is a lot of our products, a lot of the literature tell you to use a lot more fertilizer than I think we need. If you, again, are putting compost into your garden, lots of organic matter, you're taking care of your soil year after year, it's going to really take care of itself. But at planting, I do like to add things in. And again, now I don't have to open up every one of these products, scoop stuff out, bring them in and out of the yard, move them plant to plant. I have a fertilizer that I just made for this video. It's never been made before. It's also not what you have to do. That's another principle. You don't need to follow things to an exact measure. And the final principle is that I'm going to be using less of these products from what they tell you to do on the package when I go. Because if you think about it, I put in equal measures. They say, for this is my design, but most people agree, it's 1 to 2 tablespoons for magnesium sulfate. But the directions here say 1 tablespoon per planting area per square foot, 5 tablespoons. So when I go to a planting hole, I'm going to use 1, 2, 3. This is what's going to go into my planting hole. 2 to 3 tablespoons of organic fertilizer that covers N, P, and K, adds in calcium, sulfur, magnesium, you know, the major nutrients, the micronutrients. Doesn't have everything, but it has a lot. And I'm using it in a lower ratio to the planting hole than what the packages say. And why do I say that? Your garden, if it's been growing well and you've been taking care of it, it's going to have really what it needs in there. Of course, you know, with time some things could run out, but I'm going to replace it with this in each of my planting holes, and next year this is pretty much how my tomatoes, peppers are going to get set up. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you understand that you don't need to stress about fertilizers. Just think about principles. You need to make sure your soil has the main macronutrients, N, P, and K. But you also have to think about what you've been doing with your soil. If you've been taking care of it and you're putting in organic matter, you're not going to need to use these all at full strength. Less is okay. Your plants are going to do fine. And also, you're going to be keeping an eye on them. If they look like they're struggling, then you might go to some water-soluble products or chemical products or fish emulsion or whatever you want to use to, you know, help your garden along. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you really take from this that you can be creative with what you use. You don't have to follow everything exactly to the package. If you're using less, don't use more ever. And you don't need to stress about fertilizers. Your garden's really going to take care of itself if you're taking care of the garden and doing mostly a good job. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please check out my blog at www.therustedgarden.blogspot.com and also check out my YouTube videos. Thanks.